excited because we've just started working with Gated Council. And so the conversation this morning was really sort of about for me hearing and listening and learning, so I appreciate that, so thank you. So Toby asked me to talk about our journey, why we decided to work in this way, so that's what I'm going to do. So when Julian, who's our current CEO, joined the organization about 7 years ago, he realized that the focus on the energy in the organization was really around what we might call the hard end of issues. So if we're talking about women, it was towards kind of women in prison. If we're talking about mental health, it was kind of BME mental health. If we're talking about homelessness, it was really more around those kind of issues of kind of mental health with homelessness and substance issues. So already in the organization, there was this desire to work with these what we call complex issues. So the staff and the board, kind of early on in those years, they decided that these issues were complex. And they're complex because there was no one solution. So if we ask, as Toby said, what causes homelessness, we're all going to come up with different reasons. Yeah, they're complex because there is no even agreed definitions. And also we have incomplete or kind of contradicting knowledge about some of these issues. And they're hard or impossible to measure, yeah, or claim success because they're so interconnected. Again, back to the issue, as Toby said, of homelessness. And they cut across silos of the boundaries that we're used to. Yeah. And so we kind of accepted that was the case. But we could also see that the most helpful, I'll say helpful rather than successful, solutions or interventions were emerging from relationships, yeah, or quality relationships and values. So those grantees and people we're working with, we're kind of having the most traction, talked a lot about values, and they talked a lot about relationships. So we knew all of this, and we still had our approach where we gave roughly about 3 years funding, about 50 to 100,000, and we asked for the organization to write a proposal at the beginning and set out their kind of outcomes of what they were going to do. So despite all the stuff that we said and we kind of knew and accepted, we still acted, yeah, in a kind of the same way we'd acted before. Yeah. So over the years, we kind of learned some things before we changed. So I'm going to kind of share some of those things. Yeah. So firstly, they talked a lot about relationships. Yeah. They said. Our grantees, sorry, the people funding, they talked a lot about relationships, and they said the work we do is deeply rooted in unheard voices, yeah, or in trust or relationships we have, or in the history of this place, yeah. But no one funds that work. But that's the work that makes the critical differences in our work, in our approach. And so they were kind of saying those are the things that drive what good work looks like here. The second thing that we're hearing a lot coming up, there was no space to have difficult conversations. Yeah. And there was no space to be honest about things. Yeah. And this honesty, this ability to have difficult conversations really was everywhere in the system, you could say. Yeah. It was between the frontline worker and the person they were serving. It was between the frontline. You got it. Frontline worker and their managers. It was between the managers and the senior leaders. It was between the senior leaders and the counsellors. It was between the counsellors and the residents. Whatever way you want to put it. It was between directors of children's services and directors of adult services. This thing about having difficult conversations came up again and again. Yeah. And so again, it wasn't just that there wasn't enough space to talk about this, yeah. It was also, it wasn't invested in and it wasn't seen as a value, yeah. And yet, when we're able to get over our differences, yeah, or our similarities, or when we're able to work around what is it the bit I'm going to do, the bit that you're going to do, or that's really hard, or I don't understand what you're saying, or all this. When we did that, we got to a better place. So the third thing that we were learning, our own approach that we had, kind of 3 years a grant to one organization. They wrote a proposal at the beginning. They said what the outcomes were going to be. We spent so much time investing in that kind of early stuff. It gave us the illusion of control and certainty, that didn't exist. The reality is that it's only when you get going that you know what's needed. And what's needed in 5 months' time is going to be very different from what's needed in 12 months and what's needed in 18 months. But there was no opportunities to change that because a lot of the assessment goes into the kind of the early days of writing the proposal. So that was about our approach. And the kind of fourth thing, I guess, that we were part of the system, whether we liked it or not, whether we acknowledged it or not, we were part of the system. So the minute we kind of we put a boundary around the system, but the minute we kind of came in as funders, we're part of it. And so if we're part of it, that also means that we have to ask questions of ourselves. How is that we work? We can't ask just other people to change. What about us? And so those kind of questions start to lead us to our approach. So all those key learnings made us think, actually, we say we understand complexity and we want to work in that way, but actually we're not working. Our approach is not working in that way. So all those things led us to have a different approach. So generally now I would say how we work is we pay attention to relationships and we fund our work. And that relationships might be between individuals, it might be between organizations, it might be between systems, it might be all of it, But we trust the people we work with to know where it is we're going to need to put the energy and the work. But it's about that kind of relationships, We kind of have no set approach as such, But what we do is we have removed as many barriers as we can. So before we couldn't fund local authorities, but now we can, because we accept that that's where it might need to go, We focus a lot on learning and using learning as the opportunity to make decisions. And we have no set outcomes from the beginning. It might be that the beginning is just about working on relationships. It might be the beginning is about understanding the history of this place, understanding the history of this issue. It might be that the beginning is about setting out collective assumptions about this. We don't know. It's got each place, each area, each project is going to be very different. But it's about, often what we do is we're trying to create space to test and try things out, because a lot of the time none of us know. So we have to test things. So all of that is about engaging with the complexity and going with it. And so that means in terms of what we ask for to our grantees, we talk a lot about learning. What is going on? What is going on with the relationships? What is going on with what we call the ecosystem? So we've changed the nature of our conversations. It's less about sort of the kind of facts and figures, and much more around the ecosystem. And we're more open about failure. And just saying some of these things we're going to try them, but they're not going to work. And that's okay. And also they can say to us, well, are you going to punish us? If it doesn't work, and we can have much more honest conversations. Actually, we're doing this together. So together we're going to experiment, we're going to test, and it might not work, it might do. And if this doesn't work, we're going to try something else. So I think that gives you an idea of some things of how we work.